Fratelloni's Ace Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 554. Feb 8, 2021. It was 50 degrees on this day in 1991, and then again in 2002. It was 29 below on this day in 1899.
And now, from the mayor's office, above the boathouse, on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic, with Rookie on production, Chris Reavers, director of social media, John Hyde in the newsroom, and occasionally Kenny from the Krabby Coffee Shop. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
Where is Reavers? Do we know? I don't think we do.
Alive.
I didn't think much of that game, boys.
How long did you stay with it?
I watched the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh.
There's no denying Brady is superb, but I just can't root for a guy who sleeps in a hyperbolic chamber. I just can't do it.
How'd you like that halftime show?
I paid scant attention to that. But if it's true that guy spent $7 million of his own money to stage that, he's dumber than a mud fence.
Yes.
Yeah, $7 million of his own money to stage that. It was pathetic. What were the people in bandages? What was that deal?
I didn't understand that. The red guys, red coats, and wearing underwear masks.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
It was the worst halftime show since, what was it, 92 in Minneapolis?
Yeah.
When we had the Winter Wonderland. The Frosty Rap.
Yeah.
You know, the other day I was wondering, will the Washington Post fact-check Biden the way they fact-checked Trump for lies, right?
Yeah.
And Jordy has alerted me to this piece that he got from the Daily Caller. Glenn Kessler, a fact-checker from the Washington Post, has stated that he will not count false claims made by Biden during his presidency, similar to how they were counted during the Trump presidency. On an interview with CNN, Kessler stated that in the case of the Biden-Harris transition team, we identified 5 factual statements he made, and we wanted to know what was the basis for this. Within 15 minutes, we received citations to those factual statements, and they all checked out. Washington Post fact-checker Kessler will not count false Biden claims like Trump's. I assume the Biden presidency will be a lot like the Obama presidency, and that they will be responsive and be able to quickly back up what they are saying, he said.
Wow.
Kessler then went on to address the fact-checking that was associated with the Trump presidency, to which he said generally the Trump White House almost never responded to our inquiries because, of course, a lot of what the president said could not be defended or explained in terms of where he got his so-called facts. So apparently we're not going to even bother with the Trump. They're going to assume that Trump is Biden is just apparently very honest and forthcoming, and they won't bother to fact check.
Plus, at this age, you think he could get away with, I forgot.
Yeah. And there's a lot of video going around, and I can't verify it, so I've never mentioned it, but it is hilarious video of Biden stumbling over some statistics in regards to the vaccine and how by this summer we'll have 300 Americans vaccinated, and he goes on and on and on with these ridiculous statements to the point where I think they've probably been engineered. It's not that I'm looking to defend Biden against this, but it's so preposterous that I happen to feel that they've been manipulated, which is a big problem we face in America. Is what can you believe? You really got to be careful about what you can believe. But apparently the Washington Post is very at peace with the idea that they don't have to be careful with Biden because, he's their guy, and obviously he's going to tell you the truth on everything. So there you have it.
That's no surprise coming from them. I mean, they're corrupt and evil.
Well, I don't know if it's corrupt and evil. They certainly the whole craft of reporting has just become so corrupted in my lifetime. It's just I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
I'm going to give you an example.
Here we go.
So I'm reading the paper this morning, and there's a big piece, a modest-sized piece in the Star Tribune with the headline, Himalayan Glacier Breaks Off, 140 missing. It's a dreadful story.
Yes.
Indian rescue crews struggled to reach trapped victims Sunday after a part of a glacier in the Himalayas broke off and released a torrent of water and debris that slammed into 2 hydroelectric plants. At least 9 people were killed and 140 were missing in a disaster experts said appeared to point to global warming. We couldn't even get past the first paragraph without assigning this to global warming.
Right.
So that's an example to me of really lousy reporting. What evidence do you have that this was global warming? But there's even something more interesting in this. Video from India's northern state of Uttarakhand showed the muddy, concrete, gray floodwaters tumbling through a valley and surging into a dam, breaking it into pieces with little resistance. Before roaring on downstream, the flood turned the countryside into what looked like an ash-colored moonscape. More than 2,000 members of the military, paramilitary groups, and police took part in the search and rescue, including soldiers expert in mountaineering, working into the night under bright lights. The flood was caused when a portion of the Nanda Devi Glacier snapped off in the morning, releasing water trapped behind it. It rushed down the mountain and into other bodies of water, forcing the evacuation of many villages along the banks of the Alaknanda and Dalahanga rivers.
Okay.
A hydroelectric plant on the Alaknanda was destroyed, and a plant under construction on the Dalahanga was damaged, said Vivek Pandey, a spokesman for the paramilitary Indo-Tibetan Border Police. Flowing out of the Himalayan mountains, the 2 rivers meet before merging with the Ganges River. Pandey, the spokesman, said that at least 42 workers were trapped in 2 tunnels at the Dilanga project. 12 were rescued, while at least 30 others remained stranded. The rescues used ropes, and let me get to the point here. Anjal Prakash, research director and adjunct professor at the Indian School of Business, who has contributed to UN-sponsored research on global warming, said that while data on the cause of the disaster was not yet available, this looks very much like a climate change event, as the glaciers are melting due to global warming. Well, B as in B, S as in S. But here's a very interesting question that I popped into my mind as I read this. If you experts are so quick to blame this tragedy on global warming, why were you building a second new hydroelectric plant where the first one is? If you suspected this, if you're so quick to say this is global warming, why in the hell wouldn't you build that plant somewhere else if you suspect glaciers are going to start breaking off?
It's a good catch.
Right. What are you doing?
But they'll never be asked that question.
A hydroelectric plant on the Alaknanda, that's one of the rivers, was destroyed, and a plant under construction on the Dalahanga, the other river where they meet, was damaged. Well, then what the hell did you it's under construction. Why did you put it there? You put it there because you never took global warming into consideration, you frauds. And you experts, who are the experts? Who are the experts?
Right.
The scientists.
Well, they're using words like it appears to be global warming, but we're not disputing global warming here. We're just disputing the cause of it. So, if the Earth is warming up and these things are melting, it's happening, right?
No, I don't. I dispute global warming. To me, it's not plausible that a half a degree of increase in temperatures is going to make a glacier ruin a hydroelectric plant.
Well, wait now. Let's you believe that the temperature fluctuates. That's what all the glaciers melted here because our planet heats up and cools down. It's just not as a result of what kind of car you're driving, and man-made items cannot affect the climate. But naturally,
the climate is always changing.
Fluctuates. What was around? What melted the glaciers?
Has.
What melted the glaciers? There was no industrial revolution when they came through here 15,000 years ago.
Actually, it's more like 10,000 years, but you're right. But it wasn't me and my car.
A strong sun, maybe?
It wasn't a coal-fired plant.
No.
The temperature, the climate changed. There's no climate emergency. There is none.
Boy, I wish it would change from what it is today right now.
But But for the Associated Press to have written that, you might as well say an electric plant in International Falls was shut down this morning due to damage to a transformer. Experts say climate change is suspected. It'd be the same thing.
Right, and that AP piece used verbiage that kind of makes me think that they didn't do the legwork in the investigative work required to put that down as a fact. It appears that global warming is a factor and other things like that.
Yeah.
Did we lose you guys? I lost Kenny for a minute.
Oh, you did?
Here I am.
Okay, couple more things. If you experts, weren't you aware possibly that a glacier above your hydroelectric plants could be in suspicion of corruption? Did anybody ever take a look at them? Did anyone ever wonder what the percentages were that would result in such a mishap? And apparently not, because you're telling me you have a new one under construction in the same valley beneath the glacier. So what were you thinking? Well, they weren't thinking, because they weren't going to blame global warming. It's just they're going to blame it now, because they got to come up with something. But it's no different than if a power plant shut down because a transformer broke in the cold weather in Ely, to say experts are believing that this is a climate change event. No, it'd be cold and the transformer broke down. It's winter.
It's 20 below up here. Well,
there's a guy named Dr. Indur Gokhlani. He denies that there is a climate emergency. Kelsey alerted me to this piece. He is, well, let me give you his credentials. He's renowned. Let me find the credentials here, because this just isn't a podcast host telling you this. Where in the hell are his credentials?
Give me his name again.
Well, hell, they were in here.
Dr.
His
Gray?
name is
Dr. Howard?
Indur, I-N-D-U-R, Gokhlani, G-O-K-L-A-N-Y.
Got him.
Yeah. He was part of the, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change for the UN.
Is a science and technology policy analyst for the United States Department of the Interior, where he holds the position of Assistant Director of Programs, Science and Technology Policy.
Mm-hmm.
He is
well, thank God for this fellow pushing back.
Right.
Well, how long is he going to last in Joe Biden's administration?
That's a great question. In the comments on the story, there was that question. Will this guy get deplatformed now?
Of course he will.
He says the climate may have changed for the warmer, but most extreme weather phenomena have not become more extreme, more deadly, or more destructive. Empirical evidence directly contradicts claims that increased carbon dioxide has reduced human well-being. In fact, human well-being has never been better. Whatever detrimental effects warming and higher carbon dioxide may have had on terrestrial species and ecosystems, they have been swamped by the contribution of fossil fuels to increased biological productivity. This has halted and turned around reduction in habitat loss. The report will make largely depressing reading for all of the prominent environmental activists, from the Pope and doom goblin Greta Thunberg to the Great Reset's Klaus Schwab, who have been pushing the climate emergency narrative. It is an article of faith for the globalist elite and their useful idiots in the media, in politics, in business, and in the entertainment field that the world is on a course for climate disaster which only radical and costly international action can prevent. But Gokhlani's report, Impacts of Climate Change, Perceptions and Reality, claims there is little, if any, evidence to support that narrative. At the end, Gokhlani provides a table setting out all the scaremongering claims by environmental groups and then comparing them with observed reality. Remember, you're being asked to disbelieve your own reality. And my reality is it's 1 below right now. Right. I don't know what it's supposed to be because it's winter, but that's my observed reality. I'm not sitting here sweltering under an 80-degree February day, which would be terribly unusual, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Only one of the claims stands up, according to the study. The weather has been getting slightly warmer. More hot days and fewer cold days? Yes. cyclones, hurricanes, more intense